The farm had been there long before the new neighborhood popped up. Generations had worked its fields, raised animals, and kept to themselves. It sat comfortably outside city limits, protected by agricultural laws that had been in place for decades. But that didn't stop the inevitable march of development. A brand new suburban community, complete with manicured lawns and cookie-cutter houses, had sprung up nearby. With it came an HOA, and with the HOA came Karen. Karen wasn't just a member. She was on the board, the self-proclaimed enforcer of rules. She believed in order, uniformity, and most importantly, power. The farm, in her eyes, was an eyesore. The rustic barns, gravel driveway, and sound of livestock were offensive to her vision of a perfect neighborhood. She had taken it upon herself to fix the problem. One afternoon, the farm's owner, a middle-aged man who had long since learned to deal with stubborn people, noticed Karen marching up his driveway. Clipboard in hand, sunglasses perched on her nose, she radiated authority, at least in her own mind. "You need to do something about this property," she announced without introduction. "This mess is bringing down home values." The farmer leaned against the fence, studying her. "I think you might be confused," he said evenly. "This farm isn't part of your HOA." Karen scoffed. "Everything in this area falls under the HOA's jurisdiction. And we have standards. You'll need to remove those unsightly fences, repaint the barn in an approved color," and she wrinkled her nose. "Get rid of those animals. The noise alone is unacceptable." The farmer chuckled, shaking his head. "Lady, this farm was here before your HOA. We're legally exempt. You don't have any say over what happens on this land." Karen's lips pressed into a thin line. She wasn't used to defiance. "That's what you think," she said, voice sharp. "We'll see what the county has to say about this." With that, she spun on her heel and stormed off, already pulling out her phone. The farmer sighed. He'd dealt with all kinds of people over the years, nosy neighbors, overzealous inspectors, but Karen had the look of someone who wouldn't back down easily. By the next morning, an official-looking envelope was stuffed in the farm's mailbox. An HOA violation notice. The farmer laughed as he read through it. Fines for excessive noise, unauthorized structures, and failure to maintain an aesthetically pleasing environment. It was absurd. He walked to the end of his property and, with deliberate care, nailed the notice to a fence post. Let her see it when she came back. She wanted a battle? She'd get one. Karen didn't just walk away. She doubled down. If the police wouldn't do anything, she'd take matters into her own hands. Within days, the farmer started hearing whispers from neighbors about an HOA lawsuit. Karen had convinced the board to take legal action, claiming the farm was a public nuisance that violated community standards. The farmer wasn't surprised. He had dealt with bureaucratic nonsense before, but this time, he decided to play offense. He dug into the county records, reviewing zoning laws, property lines, and, most importantly, the HOA's own bylaws. It didn't take long to find something interesting. The HOA had overstepped its boundaries. Legally, it had no jurisdiction beyond the new development. Yet Karen and her board had been enforcing rules on properties that weren't even under their control. Not just his farm, several homeowners outside the subdivision had been harassed into compliance. That was all he needed. He contacted a lawyer, who took one look at the case and grinned. Oh, they messed up. Meanwhile, Karen was busy rallying support, telling everyone the farm was dragging down property values and that the lawsuit was a guaranteed win. She had no idea what was coming. When the case went before a judge, it unraveled fast. The farm was fully protected by agricultural exemptions, and the HOA had no legal authority beyond its official borders. Worse, their attempt to enforce rules outside their jurisdiction violated multiple local zoning laws. The judge didn't just throw out the case. He recommended an investigation into the HOA itself. That's when things truly fell apart for Karen. The county launched an audit, digging into the HOA's records. What they found wasn't pretty. Unauthorized fines, misused funds, and an attempt to expand their reach beyond legally allowed limits. The penalties started piling up. Homeowners who had been pressured into compliance came forward, angry and ready to push back. Karen, once so confident, suddenly found herself on the defensive. The HOA board, eager to save themselves, turned on her. She was blamed for the overreach, forced to step down, and effectively exiled from the very organization she had tried to control. The lawsuit had backfired spectacularly. Instead of shutting down the farm, Karen had destroyed her own position. The farmer, meanwhile, hadn't just won. He had exposed the HOA's corruption for everyone to see. As he walked back to his land, he couldn't help but smile. Karen had started this fight thinking she held all the power. In the end, her arrogance had been her downfall.